You know what was the toughest part of doing this beginning gag? Getting that Gantz voice synthesizer program to pronounce Aquinas right. It still sounds a little awkward, but God, I spent so long trying to spell it in so many different weird ways before I could get it to come out even close to accurate. But that whole bit there was a response to people who had complained at the end of the last episode. There was, of course, a long bit about philosophy, which contradicted an earlier episode in which Gantz states that he would head explode anybody who wasted too much time talking about philosophy. And it's not that I didn't realize that was a contradiction, but I naively thought to myself, oh, it's such a little nitpick. Nobody's ever going to remember that one line from that one earlier episode. Nobody will care. Ha ha! How wrong I was. But yeah, that whole philosophy thing was never ever meant to be a running gag. It was just going to be a one-off gag for that one episode. And then I wound up having to bring it back to placate people. And of course it wound up being a whole huge integral part of the plot of this entire plot arc. So kind of interesting how that came about. This whole scene was kind of a bear to edit because I wanted to avoid having a direct shot of Nishi's face after he was dead because it was so gory and it didn't really fit what I was doing, so I wound up having a lot of awkward stuff like that shot of the water there that slowed way down and looks terrible. Oh well. This episode was where Hojo really came into his own as a character, and he's actually kind of inconsistent even within the episode, because my original idea for his character was I was just going to kind of transplant the character of Derek Zoolander into the Gantz world, since the character of Hojo is a male model. But then my Zoolander voice is a terrible, terrible impression to the point where a lot of people, until I actually used the word Yagoogly, didn't even realize what I was trying to do with it. And then B, I realized that in the context of the cast dynamic, I already had plenty of really stupid characters. I really didn't need another one. And so as I went on, even within this one episode, more and more he took on the role of the smart guy, the straight man, who's just constantly annoyed by everybody else's stupidity, which of course is the exact opposite of what Derek Zoolander is. So I probably could have gotten that a little more consistent if I'd thought ahead a little more and, pardon me, considered a little better what how he would have to function within the dynamic of the cast that I'd already established. But oh well, fuck it.
Not this again. Gantz, I thought you killed everyone who wasted time with philosophy.
I put probably too much thought into what internet meme Gantz should be watching there. I thought about having it be some kind of Rickroll thing, but at the end of the day, I wanted to try and work something in that I hadn't yet.
How did you wind up dying, motherfucker? Well, first I watched this cursed VHS tape that kills you after.
I was happy that I was able to bring the whole ring thing back into it again. Actually, I was kind of worried that I hadn't hammered that point home concretely enough, just because there is Sadako, I think her name is, the chick who looks like the ring girl, anyway, who is just kind of in the background of this whole arc, but never has any lines, doesn't really do anything until she shows up in the next arc, the Buddha arc. So I sort of tried to work her into it, but I think I failed. I think a lot of people, when the Buddha arc comes around, might have thought, wait, who is she? Has she been here all along? Which I guess is kind of part of the point, but whatever. I did like that I was able to bring back this bit about Kishimoto choking on a piece of hamburger and drowning in the tub. I like the idea that, because Kurono had said that in an earlier episode, I like the idea that he thought he was just making crap up, but really, by total coincidence, he'd gotten it exactly right, which is pretty awesome. And this got tossed in just because I had to kill off these characters. Getting the plot straight in this whole episode was a real bitch, because I had so many groups of characters splitting off, and I had to make sure to establish when each one dies so that they don't just kind of disappear without explanation. But I wanted to avoid having a lot of them die on screen if I could help it, just because it is so gory, and I thought that it would work against the vibe that I was going for. So,
what the heck?
I don't know. I didn't get a whole lot of complaints about that, though, so I guess it did work out okay.
Estrogenocide.
I like estrogenocide. I thought that was clever.
Get him? How? With what?
Yeah.
You figure it out, smart guy. And don't forget to think happy thoughts. Kishimoto.
This whole ending bit I thought moved a little bit slowly. I don't know, I was of two minds about this, because on the one hand, I did want to kind of build it up and try and get a slightly creepy vibe so that I could have the punchline, which is that, the big intimidating end boss is Clucky from Naruto Abridged. On the other hand, it did slow down the last bit of this episode, so I don't know. Whatever. And Super Chicken. For those of you who don't remember Super Chicken, it was a short-lived cartoon way back in the day that used to run alongside George of the Jungle and Tom Slick. It's one of those things that it's a bit of a two-percenter, and a lot of the younger folks in the audience probably won't get it. But those of us who do, it's one of those things that just tickles that nostalgia lobe of the brain. Like, holy crap, Super Chicken! And Fred! And the Super Coop! And the Super Juice! Yeah. Sweet. Alright, take it easy, bye.